Hey
Hey
guys!
guys!
Welcome to week 5. It's hard to
Mhm.
believe it's already been 5 weeks. Yeah, so this week we just like to discuss with you our sort of big picture view of ministry. Yes, so initially when we arrive in the Philippines, we're going to fly into the capital, which is Manila, and yeah, we're going to just do a little bit of orientation with the field leadership and also do some paperwork. Yeah, just initial stuff that needs to be figured out. And then we fly down into the south, and that's sort of going to be our base of operations for our time in the Philippines. And we're going to, yeah, spend about 2 to 3 years just learning the national Filipino language. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, we're going to be learning the national Filipino language and studying their culture and just getting our family kind of acclimated there. But we'll also be building relationships with the national church because when we're out in a people group, we will be coming back and forth in between the cities some, and we really want to have them be our home base of operations and have those relationships already established and be able to have good communications with them. So, when our 2 to 3 years of time has been spent learning the national culture and language, and we're proficient enough in the language, then we'll begin evaluating what people groups to move into. So, that will be a discussion with the leadership there, and they'll help us just kind of evaluate what the current needs are. So, that may be working with a team that's already established in a people group. Maybe they lost a coworker due to sickness, and we could fill a spot there, or possibly starting a new work in a people group and formulating a team.
Mm-hmm.
So then from there, we transition into a people group.
Yeah, and when we initially move into a people group, one of the things that we really emphasize is just meeting up with the leaders in the community and just setting our expectations with them. They know what we're doing, we know what they're doing, and what they expect of us and what we expect of them. And yeah, that just helps set the groundwork for a good relationship long term.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we start house building, which is just a time where I could talk a lot about this, but yeah, just building a house off grid, which has its complications and has some just neat aspects, but yeah, I won't talk about that. Then we start learning the local language and culture, which is going to be different than the national language. And yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of differences, but there's also a few similarities that we're going to be able to piggyback off of what we just learned in the national culture. But yeah, starting sort of afresh in the new language.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then one thing that we really focus on is literacy. So that's just really important for a sustainable church, obviously, is to be able to, when you have the translation, to be able to read it in your own language. So that's something we definitely focus on. And that's part of translation is developing an alphabet for them and then creating primers to be able to teach them. And then also looking for those that are becoming really good readers and training them how to be future literacy teachers for the future generations. So that's something that's really important that we do.
Mm-hmm. And then one of the big things that we do as we're thinking about teaching, so as we are getting to the end of learning language, we start translating some of the Bible lessons that we're going to be teaching. So there's about 70 lessons that we want to do, starting with creation and leading up to Christ. And yeah, they're just sort of foundational lessons for um, people who have no access to God's word and have no real context of why Christ even came to die. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so we start with those portions that are necessary to hit those key stories leading up to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we begin teaching. So,
Mm-hmm.
and again, we're on a team too. So it's not just one person doing literacy or translation or the formulating Bible lessons, but we're all working together, checking each other's work.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have consultants that come out as well and check everything to make sure that they're being done properly.
Yeah, so that's just the short version of what our ministry is going to look like for the next couple of years. And um, that's just the first half of what the big picture. We have a whole section after there's believers, and what it looks like for us as we're just developing this church, and as we're growing alongside them and seeing them to maturity. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, it's really fast. Like that is a super brief overview. There's a lot more details we would go into if we were in person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, thanks for joining us. And again, like you said, next week we'll be doing the other half in video 6. So
yeah, so have a nice week, guys, and stay safe out there because we know a blizzard's coming.
It's pretty cool. Thanks, guys.